and when we say law enforcement, we're talking about police because that's the first thing that we all run into. But after today's decision in the Ahmaud Arbery case, the federal case where the three men were convicted of federal hate crimes, and then the Dante Wright decision also, is there an issue? Can we just focus on police, or should we also be focusing on prosecutors, and even the judges, and it's part of the problem in the justice system? Is that still an issue, you think?
I like to think of it as a different perspective completely. I think we have to call it state sanctioned violence because it's not necessarily violence done by the state, but it's the violence in which our state allows to exist. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from a law enforcement authority. I think with Trayvon Martin, we see that idea that
Right.
everybody's been very much speaking on, the idea that policing and the idea of, the idea that I have a right to feel protected, and if my life is threatened, I need to report. Those are narratives which, as many people mentioned, I want to go back to the idea of these images, the images that whether a Black person is actually committing a crime or attempting committing a crime, that Black people are deviant. And so the Blackness and Black criminality, it is very much imposed by those media stories, the media narratives, the idea of going back to mugshots. We had Brock Turner, who was actually arrested and accused of sexual assault and rape, and they decided they wanted to use his high school photo versus his mugshot, because we don't necessarily get to escape that image that we are constantly committing crime. And so the criminal justice system is very much feeding into that idea as well. That, we talk about the war on drugs, the war on crime. We talk about Black on Black crime. We have all these terms to generate some type of negative, demeaning, inhumanizing understanding about how Black communities work, or how Black people are perceived or stereotyped. And all these terms are related to criminal justice policy, stop and frisk, stand your ground. All these things are not associated with other communities, but very much in how we view Black communities. So I don't think it's enough to just assume that it's our law enforcement. The Ahmaud Arbery case is another case in which you have an individual who's running, and two white men feel as if they need to go and police. And I think that's the idea that Kevin was talking about. Black men are policed. Their bodies are policed in what ways they can move and function. And speaking from the generation, me being part of that generation when Trayvon passed, that inability to actually function and move, it did very much enrage me in terms of why is this still going on? Why is this still happening?
Yeah.
And the idea that even as a professor, we're not, walking. People don't think I'm a professor. Black people don't get to have their credentials tied to their chest in order to stop people from harming them. And it's a constant, like I said, it's a constant state sanctioned violence, because it is sanctioned by the state. The state does not punish for the killing or violence done towards Black people. So I think beyond just the beyond law enforcement, it is very much perceived. And we know in the Black community, when we see these cases, we already know, okay, if the person's white, then he's probably not going to be charged. And that's sad.